All right, there we go. $8 down the drain, but we're back up and running on X/Twitter with the live streams today. Going to be discussing, and by the way, I'm Bryce Gelman. Nice to speak to all of you out there. Today we're going to be discussing the New York Yankees, the All-Star break, play their first game out of the break tomorrow against the Rays, a series with the Rays at home, and then just a rough stretch until the easiest schedule, or one of the easiest schedules in baseball, the rest of the way. We're going to be talking about the trade deadline. We're going to be discussing specifically the fact of, is this it for Brian Cashman? If he screws up here, if he's not able to get the type of talent the Yankees need to compete, that the Yankees need to win a World Series this year, will it be the end? Will this be the end of the road for the Yankees GM, which has been in his position since 1996? I certainly do think it is, but we're going to discuss it. And another thing we're going to talk about today, and I'll probably put out a clip from whatever I end up talking about. Again, short live stream today. Just wanted to test this, make sure that this is all good, and then get it prepared for next week. But another thing we're going to be talking about is some of the most frustrating garbage from an organization in the history of all organizations in New Jersey Transit, with yet another major mishap with the excessive heat. They're canceling trains left and right, and people, yet again, well, this time people can't even get to work. They're canceling half the trains or whatever it is. I don't know. They're canceling a lot of trains. You go to New Jersey Transit and Penn Station, you look at the sign, half the trains are canceled. So people aren't getting to work. People aren't getting home from work, and they're blaming heat that happened 2 days ago. It's 87 degrees today. It's called the summer. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get right into that. But first, we're going to talk about Brian Cashman. And I didn't want to focus necessarily on guys that the Yankees go out and get and whatnot. I mean, we're going to talk about Isaac Paredes from the Rays, who the Yankees are supposedly going to look into, the fact that the Rays are open to trading him. The Yankees have a major issue in their infield. They have one guy, I mean, besides Ben Rice, but we don't really necessarily know what Ben Rice is right now. He's had a solid stretch. He's hitting the ball well. Everyone comes back down to earth. We talked about this with John Jastrzemski last week, with all of the young guys that have come up in the Yankee system who have hit extremely well. Gary Sanchez, you look at like Tyler Austin, Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier, who were really solid when they came out of the minors, and then they just fell off the face of the earth. So that is another possibility here with the Yankees and Ben Rice. The Yankees, either way, have two positions in the infield that are wide open, that they have no one that is reliable in either one of those positions, in the minors, anywhere, and they're going to have to fill those holes. If they want a chance to compete for a World Series, you look at a team like the Rangers last year. What did they do 2 years ago in free agency? They went out and got two of the top four shortstop prospects or shortstop free agents. They converted Marcus Semien into a second baseman. Corey Seager as the shortstop, he performs in the clutch. You know what he is going to be about. And he brought them a World Series. They both brought them a World Series. And that is from a team that has a lot of talent up the middle. And, of course, they have the outfielders as well. The Yankees just simply do not have that. And you look at the Rangers. You look at some other teams in the AL. I think the Rangers probably the biggest threat to the Yankees in the American League. I think the Yankees, other than that, it's wide open. Realistically, wide open. So it's just like, how much more are we going to have to see of the Yankees playing second fiddle to these teams who just did more, who just went out there and acquired talent better than the Yankees were able to acquire talent? It's just a consistent basis at this point where year after year, the Yankees make the crazy trade deadline acquisitions. Those guys come in and they can't play in New York. Death, taxes, and that happening. So that's why I'm prefacing this. And that's why we're talking about this today with Brian Cashman. Of like, how many more times do we have to witness the heightened anxiety around the trade deadline, and then the hyped up moves that Brian Cashman has to make to bring us all back down to earth? Quite the opposite, to bring us back down from earth, or bring us back up from earth. It's just like, man, I mean, we've talked about it over and over again here, but I just really think that this year is the finale of all the BS. Of all the Brian Cashman's the only guy who can run the Yankees. Of if Brian Cashman's fired by the Yankees, he's going to be picked up by any team. Why? Why would you pick up Brian Cashman when year after year he has acquired the wrong talent? Guys who just simply don't fit in with the Yankees. The Josh Donaldson move hampered what the Yankees were able to do for 2 years, because they decided to devote $25 million, however much money he was making, to a third baseman who was washed. They thought he was going to be able to replicate his season in 2019 and 2020 when he was 800 OPS. Newsflash, he didn't. He didn't even come close. He was actually under 600 OPS for a good portion of his tenure with the Yankees. That's Josh Donaldson. I'm not even talking about Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo, who I like the acquisition. I like what he was able to provide the Yankees in the 3 years that he's been with the Yankees. But has he really impacted winning? When you look at what happened last year, not his fault that he gets hit in the head by Fernando Tatis. He doesn't end up knowing that he has a concussion. He plays through concussion-like symptoms until the Yankees are finally like, oh, something's wrong with him. Let's check him out. And of course, yes, something was wrong with him. So he's never been the same player since. That's on the Yankees. That's not on Anthony Rizzo. You can't really blame Brian Cashman, at least, for making that move. For Rizzo, I thought that was the right move at the time. Alongside Joey Gallo, you get two lefty bats in the lineup. I thought that was going to put the Yankees over the top. Of course it did. And then 2022 happens when the Yankees are firing on all cylinders. They look unbelievable. The first half of the season, their pitching ERA collectively is like 3 or under. And guess what happens? They implode. And what happens this year as well? The same old story. If I'm Hal Steinbrenner, I take a long look in the mirror and I consider the future of this organization. I consider how much money I'm spending on this team in terms of payroll, how many chances I've given this guy, how much money I've given him to run my team. And I'm asking myself, is it worth it? Is it worth having to face the criticism, the backlash? Because it's only going to keep building. Yankee fans aren't stupid. Yes, they have turned a blind eye to this for years. I've been on this since 2020. The fact that Brian Cashman has yet to really do anything on his own besides 2009 when he signed every free agent. He has not put together through trades, through drafting, through free agency collectively, a World Series on his own since ever? Can you even say that? Because Stick Michael built those teams in the 90s. He drafted all those players who ended up being the cornerstone faces of the New York Yankees in the 90s. Those weren't Brian Cashman's teams. And you could look at 2009 and say, okay, well, Brian Cashman, he was the one who signed those guys. He got the ultimatum from George Steinbrenner to go out and sign everyone. They signed the top 3 free agents that year. Of course you won a World Series. It's a shame you didn't win more than one. And that's another story for another day. But we're looking back on the history of this team. We're looking back at the history of the New York Yankees, 27 World Series, okay, whatever. 15 years now. 15 years that you haven't made a World Series. 15 years since you haven't won a World Series. And you could point at 2017. You could point at the fact that the Astros were cheating. But guess what? You didn't beat them. You had a 3-2 lead in that series. 2 games at home. I get it. Cheating Astros, trash cans, okay, bang, bang, bang. Still weren't able to win 1 of 2 of those games. So I don't want to hear it. Because there's excuses. That's what we're dealing with right now with the New York Yankees. Just excuse after excuse after excuse. What's the excuse going to be when Juan Soto leaves in free agency and goes to the Mets or goes elsewhere? What's it going to be then? Oh, we couldn't meet his asking price. You know what his asking price was going to be when you traded for him. You knew what his agent was going to ask for. You knew what Scott Boras was going to go into Hal Steinbrenner's office and ask for if Juan Soto had a really good season. And of course you want him to have a good season because you want to win. So you trade for him for 1 year. What are you going to get? Hopefully, you're praying that he's unbelievable, that he's not terrible, and you got to pay him, and there's questions from the fans, from the media. Why would you pay a guy who had a terrible year? But guess what? He's having an unbelievable year. So, his price goes like that. It skyrockets, unfortunately. And you're paying 3 guys over $300 million on this team. Guess what? Or 2 guys on this team over $300 million. Guess what? There's going to be a third. And now you're stuck with Carlos Rodon's albatross of a contract, untradeable contract because the guy can't handle New York. That's another story for another day. Brian Cashman actually tried to address the Yankees' starting pitching woes with the signing of Carlos Rodon. And guess what? He's fallen flat on his face the last 2 years. So it was an incorrect judgment of talent. It was an incorrect judgment of mentality, of whether or not this guy is going to be able to thrive in New York City. Well, guess what? He hasn't been able to. That's another notch right there. That's another reason you could look at Brian Cashman's tenure and characterize it as a failure. And there have just been so many moves, guys. Like, you don't want me to sit here and go through all of them, but it's like He's got to figure it out. With the Astros, I mean, of course, the Astros, they're always going to be there. They're playing a lot better than they did the first 2 months of the season. They're on their way back up. They always do. They're inevitable. They're always going to be solid. But in this season, it's about as open as it has been for years for the Yankees. The talent that they have should be enough right now as it is to get them over the hump. Gleyber Torres, not performing. DJ LeMahieu, washed. Jason Dominguez, can't stay healthy. Everson Pereira, needs Tommy John. So it's like other organizations are able to roll with the punches. They were able to figure this stuff out, call guys up, and they did it with Ben Rice, and Ben Rice has been performing again, as I keep prefacing. Yankees players who just get called up, they have this bump in performance, and then it all comes crashing down. I don't want to say that Ben Rice is going to subscribe to the same performance that we've seen from the guys in the past, but I'm saying it's a possibility. And I'm saying we can't sit here and be like Ben Rice is the first baseman of the future, because as of right now, we all, the media, the organization has not seen enough to say that he is the first baseman of the future. But he's a stopgap guy. Rizzo comes back. Maybe Rizzo is the player he was before. I doubt it. But at least you got two guys there. Second baseman and third baseman. You got to figure it out. Those are your biggest needs right now with this team. So what are you going to do? What move are you going to make? And the age-old question with this organization is, are you willing to part with prospects that you have such high hopes and aspirations for in the future to get specific players you know will help impact winning? In 2022, they looked at the situation with the pitching. They went out and they got Frankie Montas instead of Luis Castillo, who the Mariners had to give 3 of their top 5 prospects to get. The Yankees look at that and like, we're not going to give up Dominguez. We're not going to give up Spencer Jones, Pereira, whoever it was. So they made that decision. I thought it was the right decision at the time. But when you look at previous years, how many times did the Yankees refuse to give up Esteban Florial? And where's Esteban Florial right now? You don't know? I don't know. Pretty sure he was DFA'd a short while back. He might have actually been on the Rays. I don't know. But we could go through the list, smorgasbord list of prospects the Yankees refused to trade away because they thought these guys were going to turn into legends. Future Derek Jeters. And guess what? There was one shining star in Anthony Volpe. Completely forgot how to play baseball. This is valid criticism. As good as Anthony Volpe has been at shortstop, he can't hit. He can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And when you looked at the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, you're like, wow, this guy's really changed. He's laying off the slider. He's hitting the fastball. He's taking it to the opposite field. He's hitting for power. I can't even remember the last time Volpe hit a home run. I cannot name off the top of my head the last time Anthony Volpe hit a home run. And the power is another thing. Like, okay, power comes and goes. I get it. I understand that. But discipline, but vision, those are constants. And those should be expected to stay with the guy that you kind of threw to the wolves. You threw him at the start of the lineup, at the start of the lineup. And JJ and I talked about this last week. And thank you all for joining. I'm Bryce Gelman. We're talking about Yankees here. But JJ and I talked about this last week in saying that, and he thought that he doesn't blame the Yankees for making him putting him at the top of the lineup. I don't blame them either. I thought that he was ready for it at the time, but apparently he wasn't. And he's not been the same player since. He was much better at 5, 6, bottom of the lineup, top of the lineup. Can't hit to save his life. So now the Yankees are at a position where they don't have a guy to lead off. They just don't. And they haven't. In previous years, Ben Rice is not the option at the leadoff position. He's not. He's a natural 4, 5. I'd love to hit him at 6 or 7. So to actually have some good talent at the bottom of the lineup. There's nothing when it comes to the talent at the bottom of the lineup. When you look back the last 3, 4 years, that has been the Yankees' Achilles heel. It's the reason why they won in the 90s. Clutch hitting from the bottom of the lineup. Ferocious, Knobloch, Even Tino Martinez was near the top of the lineup, but that's a guy you knew you could always count on, rely on. Lefty bat. Lefty, righty, lefty, right. Like the Yankees just have not done it correctly. They have not built the organization the way that they need to build it. It's a culture thing because these guys apparently they look like they love each other, but at the same time they don't follow each other's lead because Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are two of the 3 or 4 best players in baseball right now, right? And look at everyone else. They see their guys out there consistently hitting. I know Judge is kind of leveled off, but his leveled off is still 10 times better than anyone else the Yankees have to offer besides Juan Soto. But can you imagine going out there and looking at your 2 leaders time and time again, get hits, get on base, and then you come up, you grab a double play? How can you live with yourself? How can you live with yourself? All right, that's all we're going to do on the Yankees today. There's not much news. I unfortunately, I don't have NBA TV, and I don't get why the Knicks are always on NBA TV in the Summer League. I would love to watch Tyler Kolek. I would love to watch Rokas Jogobitis, but I can't because I don't have NBA TV, and I'm not paying for it. So we'll see. I think the next game might be televised. I'll be watching that, and I'll be talking about that tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Knicks Summer League. Hopefully, I can get my hands on the highlights, but whatever. There's something else we have to talk about today, and something that actually went viral a few weeks back because I posted a clip from a rant on NJ Transit. Again, apologies if you're here for the sports, but if you want to stay for generational incompetence, you probably should. Because even if you're not from New Jersey, you're going to be astonished to hear what has consistently happened for years upon years upon years. It's a fun segue from the Yankees to NJ Transit incompetence. That's something they share. NJ Transit comes out 3 days ago. They send out this long tweet. First of all, they have no idea what they're doing in terms of posting an X thread. They have no idea. They're posting the last tweet first, so no one sees it in order. They have no idea what's going on over at New Jersey Transit headquarters. But they tweet out, you will have to, the riders, the customers might have to cancel your trips within the next 48 to 72 hours because of delays, because of cancellations from the heat. And I understand, okay, it was 95, 96, 97, okay. You can't say you didn't expect it. In the year 2024, with global warming the way that it is, you can't say you didn't expect it to get to that level this summer. You can't say that. It doesn't matter if they were preparing for it. Their trains are centuries old. The trains, there's like 5 new ones. There's 5, and when I say new within the last 15 years, the double-deckers, the only ones that are actually relatively nice. And half the time you get one of those small, crowded, one-story trains that no one wants to ride. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Those trains are breaking down and their AC isn't working. So imagine sitting in a crowded train in 95-degree temperature. That's probably 120, 130 degrees on that train. So they take them out of commission. But guess what that does? Delays, cancellations. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You're paying 15% more already. New Jersey Transit's budget this year, it was just recently approved, $2.86 billion. What the hell are you doing with that? Where is that money going? Why isn't there an outside organization auditing the money that is being spent on New Jersey Transit? Operating costs cannot be anywhere. I mean, listen, I'm no budget expert. I don't know the ins and outs of a government budget and an organizational budget. I barely know anything about business. What I do know is that this is not acceptable. Do I have to worry? I've got to go home on Sunday. Do I have to worry about getting home? It's 87 degrees today. 87 degrees. And there's still cancellations and delays. What's the excuse? Is that too hot for you? That you have to screw over tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of commuters a day because you couldn't get your shit together? Time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, death, taxes, New Jersey Transit, not knowing what the hell they're doing, whether it be Twitter graphics, whether it be Twitter threads. They have no idea what's going on. It's pathetic. It's a joke. All of us should call our employers and say, we're not coming into work. We boycott New Jersey Transit. You better figure out a way for me to be remote for the next 3 weeks. We can't give $1. We can't give a cent to this company. Make them struggle. They think they have a bad deficit right now? Just imagine how bad it would be if everyone goes on strike for New Jersey Transit. That'll show it. All right, that'll do it for today. It's a joke. I can't fathom the situation that we're dealing with right now, and I cannot fathom how it must feel for people out there who are constantly commuting in and out of New York City from New Jersey. And I check in with my friends, the 9 to 5s, Monday through Fridays, and I ask, how's it today? More often than not, they're complaining because the service sucks. So get it together, figure it out. We are all sick and tired of having to deal with this. And I'm not even someone who has to commute every day of the week. I don't know what I do. I am someone who works in person. I run the board at SiriusXM NBA Radio. I couldn't do that remotely. So what am I supposed to do? Potentially risk getting fired because I'm too big of an idiot to be relying on New Jersey Transit all the time? What am I supposed to do? And what are you supposed to do? Nothing. Sit there and take it. We need to rise up and boycott. Like, what other option do we have? So that'll do it for today's live stream. I know, quick, short, Yankees, NJ Transit, 2 incompetent organizations. Hopefully one of those organizations will be able to turn it around. I'm talking about the Yankees because New Jersey Transit is long gone. They are screwed. Like, there is no new GM that could come in and fix this shit. They're screwed. But the Yankees, hopefully not. All right. Talk to you all tomorrow. See you.